It is rare that one individual can combine so many talents that they're almost able to single-handedly produce a TV show. But during her career, Victoria Wood was a writer, comedian, actress, pianist, composer, singer, screenwriter, producer and director. From amusing her family as a child to entertaining huge theatre and television audiences, Victoria kept excelling in comedy and drama. Victoria Wood was born on the 19th of May 1953 in Prestwich and grew up in Bury, Lancashire. She had three older siblings named Chris, Penny and Rosalind. Her father was an insurance salesman and the author of a musical play called Clogs. He also wrote part-time for Coronation Street under the pseudonym Ross Graham. Victoria excelled academically at junior school but found it challenging to adjust to grammar school, which led to her social isolation. Her parents were both often out of the house, so the children had a lot of freedom. Her mother, Helen, was a solitary, dark person, not a caring mother, so Victoria felt neglected. Her mother struggled with depression. She would give up on cooking and washing, and when she could not cope. This meant that Victoria would eat chocolate instead of a proper meal and often had no clean clothes and didn't wash. These experiences influenced many aspects of her later work. When aged about 9, Victoria experienced a pivotal moment. The family went to see Joyce Grenfell perform at Buxton Opera House. Victoria was captivated by Grenfell's conversational style, her command of the stage and the fact that she was a woman performing comedy. Every other comic Victoria was aware of was a man. Suddenly it all made sense. She hadn't realised you could be on stage all by yourself. The one positive from being isolated at school meant that she could observe people. She began writing and playing the piano her father, Stan, gave her for her 15th birthday. In his diary, her father expressed pride in Victoria, but it seems he never actually told her. She joined the Rochdale Youth Theatre Workshop in 1968 and she felt she was in the right place. This gave her self-confidence and she started to make friends who became subjects of the comic songs she wrote. Soon she began including surreal elements in her scripts and developing her characteristic form of wordplay. She did not get many qualifications at school but was accepted at the Department of Drama and Theatre Arts at the University of Birmingham. In 1971, Victoria went to the Manchester School of Theatre where she met Julie Walters, who had become her long-term collaborator. Victoria made her first television appearance after she auditioned for the TV talent show New Faces, the X Factor of the day, in Birmingham in 1974. She was successful at audition and won her heat to gain a place in the all-winners show. She didn't win the final, but TV bosses were clearly impressed as she was invited to take part in a spin-off summer show in Morecambe. She was paid £75 for each New Faces appearance. She was 21. Victoria thought she was now going to be famous. However, in 1974, being on TV did not mean instant stardom. TV executives were not promoting her in every magazine and popular culture TV show. There was no social media. It didn't help that she signed up with an agent who turned down every offer of work except television. Esther Rantzen's BBC Consumer Affairs TV show That's Life always featured a musical performance. Victoria appeared in the 1976 season. Esther would phone Victoria on a Friday with the topic and the show was recorded on Sunday afternoon for broadcast that evening. Victoria earned £30 a fortnight. Peter Eckersley, the head of drama at Granada Television, saw Victoria's 1978 play Talent, for which she won an award for Most Promising New Writer. He asked her to create an adaptation for TV. He also produced TV adaptations of her plays Nearly a Happy Ending and Happy Since I Met You. This would set the wheels in motion for Victoria's own TV comedy series. Victoria wrote about what she knew and had learned from watching people, and about a semi-fictionalised version of herself. She was the first woman to reveal how women really think and feel, often using her personal experience of pregnancy, childbirth, breastfeeding, menopause and, finally, hysterectomy. Her stand-up routines were a hit with the female audience, who identified with her bosom problems and intimate issues. Male comics had joked about breasts before, but from their perspective, and it was never wholesome. This didn't alienate the male audience. They benefited from the humour and the educational value. Victoria knew what was funny, and they were subjects that had been neglected by generations of comics before her. Knitting, guttering, cream crackers and raffia drinks coasters. Not only funny, but relatable and memorable. Women's issues made the ladies laugh and cringe. Men might identify with sorting tin tacks into their different sizes. Everyone could relate to calling an automated telephone helpline and being misdirected, but of course in Victoria's world it was a surreal experience where a medical advice helpline connected her to a washing machine repair service. The language was so quotable. "I think you'll find the spam on that," says Julie Walters' sketch character, handing a tray back to a canteen worker. "Even if we've never said it, we wanted to." Victoria loved the sounds of words, and only the exact words would do. For the ballad of Barry and Frida, in the line "Beat me on the bottom with a woman's weekly," no other magazine title would do. You try it. She created colourful non sequiturs that produced instant mental confusion. Julie Walters as Petulia in Dinner Ladies says, "My daughter, born Christmas Eve, so we called her Brenda." It conjures up a list of questions. Had Petulia had one too many drinks then, or now? Had she misheard the Christmas story? But we don't have time to consider them before the next comic conundrum. Naturally, a lot of the humour was northern, relating to the north not just for northerners. Clogs, washhouses and working down to pit all found their way into her sketch comedy. Victoria didn't shy away from broader comedy. There was room for the odd innuendo, double entendre and even a few single entendre. Cafes and restaurants frequently made their way into Victoria's material. They must have been places where she had observed people's lives and overheard snippets of conversation. These types of location gave her opportunities to have a disorderly queue of random characters, each with their own story. The sketch most notable for this must be Two Soups, or Waitress according to the script. It was inspired by an occasion when Victoria and Julie ordered 2 soups from a geriatric waitress in a Morecambe cafe. Victoria even did a pastiche of Brief Encounter, where her character accepts assistance after getting an entire scone in her eye, not just a bit of grit. Victoria's ruthless parody of the ITV soap Crossroads as the recurring sketch Acorn Antiques made use of all the wobbly sets, bad camera angles and fluffed lines typical of the motel's hard-pressed cast and crew. Her scripts were not a roller coaster at full speed all the time. She added pathos and solemnity where it was needed. On the day of her cross-channel swim, 12-year-old Chrissy's parents were going shopping. Chrissy swims off into the channel with no support vessel, just a sandwich box in a duffel bag over her shoulder. Later, her parents are totally unconcerned when she has not shown up 8 days later. Earlier I mentioned that Peter Eckersley at Granada Television asked Victoria to adapt her play Talent for TV. He then offered her a sketch show. Victoria accepted on condition that Julie Walters was given equal billing, so the pilot for Wood and Walters was made and broadcast on the 1st of January 1981. This led to a full series in January and February 1982, but Eckersley had passed away, so Brian Armstrong took over. Victoria was not impressed with his choice of supporting actors. In addition, it seemed that Granada, despite offering Victoria the opportunity to make a show, didn't really know what to do with her. Her scripts were fine, but the audience was almost entirely blue-rinse grannies who failed to deliver the reaction her work deserved. After working on some schools television for Yorkshire Television and a stand-up tour in 1983, Victoria left Granada for the BBC. In 1984, her sketch show Victoria Wood as Seen on TV went into production. She now had more creative control and can choose who she worked with. Julie Walters once again starred. Victoria included her friends Duncan Preston, Celia Imrie, Susie Blake and Patricia Routledge. A second series was broadcast in 1986. Julie Walters excelled as Mrs. Overall the cleaning lady in the Acorn Antiques sketches. She forgot her lines, came on at the wrong time and pottered about as if she didn't know what she was doing. Celia Imrie's Miss Babs overacted as if she thought she'd get a BAFTA for her poise and diction. Susie Blake was originally considered for Miss Babs, but Victoria realised that she was perfect for the condescending TV continuity announcer. We'd like to apologise to viewers in the North. It must be awful for them. In the December 1987 special, there was an Acorn Antiques behind-the-scenes mockumentary. We learned that the Mrs. Overall character is played by Beau Beaumont, one of the old school of actresses with the conceit of a 1940s Hollywood film star and hemorrhoids. She had her own dressing room, which caused friction with most of the other cast. Victoria had created actor characters for all of the Acorn Antiques regular cast, plus a dictatorial producer, Marion Clune, played by Maggie Steed. Kenny Island's Derek was an erudite thespian and sycophantic fan of Beau. Duncan Preston's Clifford was well-spoken and enjoyed needlework. Beau Beaumont would return in her own spoof documentary in Victoria Wood's Midlife Christmas, broadcast on Christmas Eve 2009. Acorn Antiques took on a life of its own, with Victoria writing a musical version, Acorn Antiques the Musical, which opened in 2005 at the Theatre Royal, Haymarket, London, starring several of the original cast. In November 2006, Victoria directed a revival production of Acorn Antiques the Musical with a new cast. The musical opened at the Lowry in Salford in December 2006 and toured the UK in 2007. Of course, as with As Seen on TV, being a sketch show, there were many other characters. Gail and Carl, the young couple at the hospital, baffled by the concept that a test tube baby would grow to a normal size. The daytime TV presenters Marjorie and Joan that definitely did not get on well, and the shoe shop worker who thinks there are hens in the skirting board. Patricia Routledge had her own solo spot as a pre-Hyacinth bucket bouquet know-it-all kitty, graciously giving people the benefit of her experience. Victoria also turned her attention to the entertainment industry with the story of Sarah Wells auditioning for parts and ending up in a terrible provincial theatre production with mostly inept actors. The show is cancelled after the first performance. Another theatrical foray was a mockumentary following the production of Bessie, a politically correct version of a Billy Bunter type story, echoing Victoria's constant issues with her weight. By the dress rehearsal, the show has completely changed and Victoria's Bessie is restored to the original fat character. In 1988, she appeared in An Audience with Victoria Wood, which won the BAFTA for Best Entertainment Programme in 1989. However, the award went to the director David G. Hillier. The 1989 series, Victoria Wood, comprised 6 individual stories starring a fictionalised version of Victoria with a selection of her friends. Over to Pam was set in a daytime TV talk show with Julie Walters as the bossy, self-centred host Pam. Victoria takes a friend, Lorraine Spence, to the studio to appear in the show, but it's Victoria that gets interviewed and ends a career of egotistical Pam. The Christmas episode was called Staying In. Victoria is persuaded to go to a party with her friend Jane. The host, Moira, is keen to have a perfect event. While at the party, Victoria discovers she is there as novelty entertainment. She overhears a group of partygoers saying they've never seen a funny female comedian, so she adopts an alternative persona. It seems their collective view of a funny female comedian is one that you wouldn't kick out of bed. The television film Pat and Margaret in 1994 starred Victoria as Margaret, a canteen worker at a motorway services, unexpectedly reunited in a surprise style TV show with her long-lost actress sister Pat, played by Julie Walters, who is embarrassed at being reunited with someone she considers a misfit. Margaret is fat and frumpy, Pat is the star of an American TV soap. While they're now vastly different, they share painful memories of their unhappy childhood and uncaring mother. From 1998 to 2000, her BAFTA-nominated sitcom Dinner Ladies brought her favourite actors together again in the canteen at HWD Components Limited. More about that later. In 2009, in a departure from what we'd come to expect from Victoria, she provided the voice of God for Liberace Live from Heaven by Julian Woolford at London's Leicester Square Theatre. Victoria Wood's All Day Breakfast was her 1992 Christmas Day special, which spoofed the ITV morning magazine show This Morning. Victoria and Duncan Preston took the parts of the married, always bickering, I love him really, presenters. It featured multiple episodes of a soap opera, including a surprise appearance of Mrs. Overall. Victoria's December 1994 special, Victoria Wood Live in Your Own Home, was based on her 1993-94 stage show. In December 2000, the Christmas sketch show special Victoria Wood with All the Trimmings featured her regular troupe of actors as well as a string of special guest stars. Victoria parodied a cluster of new television channels and their less than perfect offerings. Bob Monkhouse made a cameo appearance as himself. Delia Smith was the Cratchit's cook in a retelling of A Christmas Carol, worried if the turkey was frozen and how long it would need to defrost. Roger Moore joined Victoria in a capsule on the London Eye for a Bond-esque spy spoof. Victoria commented that Roger knew his lines, apparently something of a novelty for big-name guests in many other shows. Victoria Wood's Midlife Christmas on Christmas Eve 2009 featured more of Victoria's spoof creations like Lark Pies to Cranchesterford, a loving reworking of Lark Rise to Candleford filmed on location. This extended sketch had spin-off potential, just like Acorn Antiques. There was a mockumentary, Beyond the Marigolds, following Acorn Antiques star Beau Beaumont as she seeks to reinvigorate her ailing career. Delia Smith returns with an option for Beau to be on a cookery show, but is not impressed with Beau's suggested menu, which is basically cheese on crackers. Beau meets Strictly Come Dancing's judge Anton de Beck in a rehearsal room where he demonstrates a few simple moves. Beau is impressed, tries a few steps, then decides it's time to go. There was also a reprise of Wood's most famous song, The Ballad of Barry and Frida, performed as a full musical number with dancers dressed like Frida and Barry. Victoria performed stand-up shows in 5 major UK tours between 1987 and 2002. Her 1987-88 tour included a sell-out 2-week run at the London Palladium. The 1990-91 tour included a 10-week run at the Strand Theatre in London. Her 7-month tour of the UK in 1993 broke box office records, including 15 sell-out shows at London's Royal Albert Hall. Victoria toured in the UK in 1996 with another 15 sell-out shows at London's Royal Albert Hall, followed by more UK dates, plus Australia and New Zealand in 1997. 2001 saw Victoria embark on her final stand-up tour, Victoria Wood At It Again, that was slightly postponed due to having an emergency hysterectomy shortly before the tour was due to begin. She rewrote the first half of the show and incorporated the operation in her act. The 62-date tour included another 12 nights at the Royal Albert Hall and had a further 23 dates in 2002. The tours were not just stand-up routines, they included original songs and character pieces like Kimberly's friend who wanders onto the stage looking for Kimberly. Then there's the fitness instructor characters, Hayley Bailey in tight lycra and trainee instructor Pat. Each one energetically exercising while talking to her class, just like Joyce Grenfell spoke to her class of children. She also has an alter ego, Stacey Leanne Page, a cruise ship singer, a kind of parody of docu-soap star Jane McDonald, except Victoria's singer is clearly past her best. Victoria wrote the one-off drama Housewife 49 for ITV, broadcast in 2006. It was adapted from the diaries of Nella Last. Nella was a real housewife who contributed to the Mass Observation Project during the Second World War. She was an introverted middle-aged woman married to a man like Victoria's father who was difficult to communicate with, and she had to cope with the news that her son had a boyfriend, scandalous in the 1930s. Nella gains confidence and friendships from writing her diaries. Victoria won BAFTAs for both her acting and writing the drama. On New Year's Day 2011, Wood appeared in a BBC drama Eric and Ernie as Eric Morecambe's mother, Sadie Bartholomew. In December 2012, the BBC screened Loving Miss Hatto, a drama written by Victoria about the life of concert pianist Joyce Hatto and the scandal over the authenticity of her recordings and her role in the hoax. As if that wasn't enough, Victoria also made appearances on BBC radio shows, narrated and appeared in documentaries, and featured in behind-the-scenes programmes documenting her tours and TV work. Victoria's final acting role was Eve in Sky Television's three-part adaptation of Fungus the Bogeyman, first shown in December 2015. Every episode of As Seen on TV had at least one song with original music and lyrics. They varied from commentaries on life with just her own piano accompaniment to including a 33-piece brass band and a heavenly choir for A Simple Northern Boy. One song stuck out and clearly hit a chord with audiences. Let's Do It, also known as the Ballad of Barry and Frida, was originally an item in an episode of As Seen on TV, Season 2, Episode 1, not even a finale or a Christmas special. It tells the story of Frida, a woman eager for intimate relations, and Barry, an introverted man terrified of bedroom intimacy, and makes clever use of euphemisms for a multitude of risque activities while avoiding all the taboo words. Its popularity meant that Victoria reprised a slightly updated version in Victoria Wood's Midlife Christmas on Christmas Eve 2009. She began to play solo at the piano. The live theatre audience recognised the tune. Then, for the first time, we see Barry and Frida on the sofa watching TV. She's in her nightie and dressing gown. He's in his comfy clothes. They get up and it turns into a full musical number with dancers and orchestra. It is impossible and unfair to just pick one of Victoria's stand-up tours, sketch shows or other performances as the best, but as I primarily discuss sitcoms, special mention must go to Dinner Ladies. When Victoria suggested to the BBC she wanted to write a sitcom, they just said yes. They didn't need to know any more. Of course, being Victoria, it was not just any sitcom. The setting was fairly ordinary, a factory canteen, but then she was a master of making the mundane into something marvellous. Plus, it had a story arc extending over the 16 episodes of 2 seasons, with every episode contributing to the finale. A benefit of the setting was that in addition to the principal cast of canteen staff, there could be a succession of characters coming and going as meals were served and cleared up and other day-to-day activities took place. Unsurprisingly, the series features a majority of Victoria's regular acting collaborators, which meant that she could, as she often did, tailor the character and the script for each of them. Victoria was Brenda, the second-in-command to cancer survivor Tony, who she fancied but took a long time to get around to doing anything about it. Opinionated Daily Mail reader Dolly exchanged barbed comments with Jean, whose husband has gone astray. Then there are Anita and Twinkle, the youngest staff members, who can both be less than 100% proficient. Stan, the handyman, can correlate most events to something that happened to his dad in the war. Philippa is the new, somewhat ineffectual human resources manager who is having a relationship with Mr. Michael, the company managing director. Then there was Brenda's mother, Petula Gordino, played by Julie Walters. Julie liked playing older women, but she was only 3 years older than Victoria. Clearly, every time Petula appeared, Brenda's heart sank, perpetually wondering, what has she done this time? Petula always looks dishevelled unless she's shoplifted something to wear. She's probably intoxicated and always on the cadge for something. She often boasts about the time she met some famous celebrity and how it's difficult being a Lloyd's name after Leeson collapsed Baring's Bank. In the Season 1 episode, Moods, Victoria's characters include older relatives of the canteen staff, giving her the opportunity to cast some comedy greats. Eric Sykes as Stan's methodical and plain-speaking dad, Dora Bryan as Jean's sexually liberated mother, and Thora Hird as Dolly's grumbling mum. There are so many opportunities for interaction and conflict, but a big surprise comes in the 30th of December 1999 episode Millennium, when a baby is found on the fire escape stairs. Who is the baby's mother? All the clues are there, like a 16-episode whodunit. The first season won the 1999 Rose d'Or Press Award and Best New TV Comedy at the 1999 British Comedy Awards. Season 2 won Best TV Comedy in 2000. The show was also nominated for the British Academy Television Award for Best Comedy, Programme or Series, and the 1988 and 1999 Situation Comedy Award. BBC Two viewers rated Dinner Ladies at 28th in the BBC's Britain's Best Sitcom poll in 2004. In 1997, Victoria was appointed an OBE and then a CBE in the 2008 Birthday Honours. Dinner Ladies received BAFTAs for both seasons. Victoria and Julie Walters received a joint Lifetime Achievement Award at the British Comedy Awards in 2005. Victoria received 2 BAFTAs for Housewife 49 plus 10 other BAFTA nominations. She received 6 British Comedy Awards and received a nomination for the 1991 Olivia Award for Best Entertainment. Throughout her career, Victoria never seemed comfortable with the media. This may be related to the effect on her of her mother's depression and the difficulty her father had connecting with people. She kept most of her home life very private and didn't want press intrusion, particularly for her children Grace and Henry. She could joke about having her hysterectomy. Lots of people had those, but the personal details went unsaid. Victoria married Geoffrey Durham, known as the comedy magician, the Great Soprendo, in 1980. They separated and later divorced in 2005. So when she was diagnosed with cancer in late 2015, only her immediate family knew. She died, aged 62, on the 20th of April 2016, at home with her family. It was a shock. It was unexpected. She still had many years ahead of her. Her brother, Chris Footward, said he was astonished by the public reaction to her death, saying, "I knew she was well liked, but I had no idea." Chris got approval from the Borough Council for a statue to be erected in Bury's town centre as a permanent tribute to Victoria. He said, "I want Vic's statue to be life-size, so the fans can go up and put their arms around her." Although her early TV appearances are missing from the archives, Victoria's later sketch shows, theatre tours and plays are mostly available on VHS and DVD, and many are on streaming services. They are watchable again and again, often revealing more details on each viewing. Plus, selected scripts have been released in a number of books. Victoria's official biographer, Jasper Rees, was provided with her archive of scripts and notebooks after her death. He found a vast number of unused items for the Victoria Wood As Seen on TV series. When Victoria wrote that first sketch show for Granada in 1981, she submitted just enough material for 6 episodes, so there was no slack. Whatever its reception by the studio audience, everything had to be included. Clearly, Victoria learned from this, and the cache of scripts were clearly intended as backups, alternatives. The sketch didn't get the expected audience reaction. So we've missed a dim young couple at a travel agents, characters seeking advice or marriage guidance, and a Tupperware party featuring Wendy Winter's marital aids. There was enough for another episode, possibly even another series. Then there are sketches that did not get used in the Christmas specials. There was enough material to do another special. What we can say is, at least we've seen some of the fruits of that particular crop of scripts. Then there was another revelation. In a previously unheard taped interview from 2015, first made public in 2018, Victoria said that, "Mainly I'm writing a film at the moment, non-musical, but a comedy though. The script was only in its first stages. We'll never know what might have been." And so, looking back at the sheer volume of Victoria Wood's work, the plays, the sitcom, the stand-up, the musical numbers, it's impossible not to feel a pang of what we've lost. Each meticulously crafted sketch, each perfectly observed character, each witty lyric, they stand as a testament to a talent that seemed endless. The knowledge that sources run dry, that there will be no more new songs, no more insightful monologues, no more moments of pure, unadulterated wood, leaves a quiet, aching space. It's a reminder of how much joy and laughter she brought and how much we'll miss the brilliance that could have been. Thank you, Victoria.